Yes. Next weekend on the Drive-In Asylum late movie, we're going to be watching one of Sam Panico's favorite films of all time,
Yeah,
Too Beautiful to Die.
super excited, man. If you like the '80s, this movie is like cocaine in your eyes. It's filled with music videos. Huey Lewis, Toto. Can Toto be in a genre? Yes. Can Warriors of the Wasteland by Frankie Osa Hollywood? Yeah. You ever know it's called Blades? Everything in that movie, in that trailer happens, and so much more. Man, a stunning indictment of the fashion industry or music video industry or directors or something, and women wearing parachutes on boats while Huey Lewis songs blare on the soundtrack. Man, a lot. And a rare sequel genre of the form. One of the two. There's a
What's it a
sequel,
sequel to?
Nothing Underneath, which
No.
it has nothing to do with it or any of the characters. It just the title was it was Nothing Underneath was such a big movie. The producers were like, let's make another one. It what's great about it is Nothing Underneath was all Argento people they hired for it, and this one they're like, except for Pino Donaggio, this one they're like, what if we really like Brian De Palma, make a Brian De Palma movie. This movie has a lot of body double in it. So if you dig Body Double, but you're like, hey, I wish Body Double had less of a plot and more music videos and more sex, then yes, this would be the movie for you.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Don't expect anything with a story, but expect lots of women being chased through catwalks. And
Is it better than Fatal Frame?
oh, it's a billion times better than
Okay.
Fatal Frames, which is horrible.
Yeah.
This is really good. This is also a lot like Dress to Kill, down to even the killer. So super excited, but I shall say no more because otherwise I'll spoil the whole thing.
We wouldn't want that.
No, that's a problem that I have. But hey, how about people toys? How about these fucking kids?
It's bullshit.
So they survived the bus crash because they're like, I was thinking it was like, is it because that, like how cats can jump off a building and like mice can fall off a building because they're not heavy enough?
Yeah,
Is it like because they're kids that they can just bounce around inside of a van and like
their bones were still solidifying. Yeah, they
right,
had like
yeah.
mushy bones.
Like
They're
all the
very
adults are
rubbery.
like broken and dead and bloody, and they're just like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, okay, I'll take your watch. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, if you know a kid is a maniac, don't give him an axe and then insult him with how bad he is at using the axe.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it.
I don't know. The kids kind of had a point in a way because it's so weird. So these people that were staying at this hotel, this was my first watch. So the people that were at this house, they're all just like kids, basically. Like we know that when those two women are having that cat fight on the ground, like these are all just a bunch of like selfish, like sort of Arrested Development adults. And these kids come, and instead of getting like maternal or paternal with them or wanting to find their parents or something, they just immediately just sort of like bring the kids into the fold and start like interacting with
Bonding
them
with
the way they do with each other, like like, oh, you're going to be my little protege and I'm going to teach you how to be conniving, and then the kid
Yeah.
will kill him. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that I love you in the snow and you're going to light me on fire.
Yeah.
That's one of the most disturbing scenes in any film I've ever seen. I think that's pretty brutal. It's
Well,
kind of
those
up
are,
there almost with that Don't Go in the House murder, where that's a little more brutal, but this was, at least halfway there. And the way she went up was horrifying. Ooh. It was an immediate inferno. It was like Michael Myers at the end of Halloween 2.
If the
Yeah.
question is who could kill a child, all the kids in this movie. Pretty easy.
So what was the story? So I was watching it and I was noticing what were the old scenes and what were the new scenes. Did you find out like why the director was fired? I mean, I guess you said
I guess it was the inappropriate. Well, he was having mental problems, and his inappropriate relationship with the girl who played the nun. in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was about 13 or 14, and he continued dating her after the movie was over.
Dating?
Yeah, She seems like the most asexual thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I don't know who would be like I don't know whose fetish is 14-year-old nuns that have no skin color whatsoever.
I mean, she can't even drive a car.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I get paleness. That part of it I get. The rest of it I just don't get.
Okay. All right. Because I was looking at it and I was like, oh, well, the footage isn't, I mean, his footage isn't markedly bad compared to the reshoots or something.
No.
So, okay.
Yeah, I think it was more just because he went to a sanitarium after this. Sorry, I only use 50s terms. I don't say insane asylum. He went to the sanitarium.
He went to the sanitarium. Yeah, he went to the Smiths Groveborn
It
County
wasn't just a sanitarium, was it?
No,
it was an asylum.
A sanitarium sounds like the fancy. Oh, he had some problems.
Sanitarium also can be kind of like that place in like the road to Wellville, like where you go and you like get like enemas and do like, you know,
eat cornflakes.
Yeah, eat cornflakes and wear a onesie and do like calisthenics and stuff.
Yeah. My aunt and grandmother used to go to the insane asylum once a year at St. Francis in Newcastle. They used to call it the fifth floor. It's literally just like the movie, the fifth floor. And they would go for like a week. And like it was like their retreat. Like, and I was like, it's really not supposed to be a retreat, right? My grandmother always be like, well, the popcorn is so good there. I'm like, they got popcorn other places.
Wait, are you saying they had themselves committed to an asylum for a week?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
At least once a year.
No, I mean, like, literally, how do you do that? Do you just say, well, I just want to be here for a week?
You would say, I'm having a lot of problems and I think I'm going to hurt myself. And then they have to keep you in for like at least 5 days.
But what if they do like a Samantha Egger in Curtains and like won't let you out?
I know, exactly. And then my grandmother's like...
or hellhole.
Yeah, she's in a hellhole.
They'll take you to hellhole. You don't want to go there.
I don't talk to my aunt anymore. My grandmother said, so I can't get the answers for this. If I brought it up to my mom, it would turn into a many days. I think I'll bring it up to her. Like, why did they do that? But yeah, we used to always kind of, I think once it happens 10 times, you can joke about it, right? Because we would always joke about it. That my aunt would like, I'd be like, where's she at? And my mom would be like, wow, she's committing herself again. She'll be out. I'm like, oh, okay. And then she'd come back refreshed.
I guess it depends on. See, I was always thinking. I remember when I was a teenager, I thought it would be fun to go to a mental hospital because I thought a mental hospital would be like the one that like Florinda Balkan goes to in Lizard in a Woman's Skin, where you're just like out on the grounds, you know, and you're just sitting there, and like every once in a while a doctor will come, or like Slaughter Hotel, you know, where you're just
Slaughter Hotel,
yeah, like playing like croquet, and some doctor will come up and be like, why did you want to hurt yourself? Okay, well, go back to your room, and it's this glorious room and like a mansion or something.
My worry is that I would go and I would think it was going to be this restful thing, and it turns out to be bad dreams. Do you know what I mean? Where there's like blood pouring out of the ceiling fans and stuff. Like that's not what I want.
Or like I Never Promised You a Rose Garden or some other kind of like crazy.
The Fifth Floor or there's a lot of them. Yeah. That's what would happen to me, and I'd be in there forever. Until a big Indian comes, throws the water fountain through the window.
Right. But you've already had what did like Nurse Ratched gave him a lobotomy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was like couldn't help. Trepanning.
You could check yourself into the Stevens Sanitarium. Like, don't look in the basement.
Yeah.
We have a sanitarium, state hospital in Oregon for criminally insane people. Do you guys still have one in Pennsylvania?
It's a good question. I don't know if we do or not.
I'm not sure.
You have to be, I mean, it's not the way it used to be where like you'd be a little hysterical and you'd get thrown in the asylum. Like, to go to the Oregon State Hospital, like you have to be a menace, like an absolute dangerous, murderous menace. And anybody else, it's like nobody else is going. Like the streets are full of crazy people that aren't going.
Like Francis Farmer.
You have to be like criminally insane, or you have to be like a woman who doesn't want to get married. You know,
not that.
Right. You have to be a woman who yells at the studio head and says, fuck you. And then you get thrown in the asylum.
Yeah. Or that's why I like all the F. Jaw looks. It's like if Florinda Balkan and Lizard Woman's Skin spoiler again because you already gave it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, "I'm a lesbian," and you're like, "Okay, great, go do it." She, no, I can't come to grips with that. I must kill people.
Well, she had to keep it a secret, right? Because like her dad was a politician or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or something. Some important. He was an important man.
Well, she should. I mean, being a lesbian is one thing, but like, why did she have to be banging that like crazy hippie like blackmailer?
The person, if you move in next to somebody that has parties that go all night and people fucking in the lawn, maybe don't get involved. Maybe find another one. There's a lot of women out there. Maybe she's not the one.
Right. Yeah, like find some other sort of like repressed, closeted, like aristocratic.
Yeah.
Somebody. Yeah.
I watched the new Perry Mason. I know how this worked.
Yeah.
But anyway, these kids are nuts. Each kid has his own personality. They're like G.I. Joe. There's like military kid, nun kid,
wig kid.
Huh?
Wig kid.
Wig kid, yeah. Makeup kid. He looked like Paul Williams at the end. He like totally pulled apart. He had like the blonde hair. He looked like Swan at the end of this.
Yeah. He was playing with her makeup too, and the poor young girl got blamed for it.
Yeah.
Didn't always happen when you were a kid. Didn't you get blamed for shit all the time that you didn't do?
I did all the time, but I never just said, "Well, I'm going to put piranha into the bathtub." My mom jumps in. I like that they had a radio there too. Like if the piranha were enough, they could have knocked the radio into the bathtub too and just finished her off.
I like when she told her to stop kicking her feet because you might hurt the piranha.
Yeah. My favorite part of the whole movie is whenever they're dragging her body through the snow, which looked very uncomfortable. Like it wasn't like they were definitely moving her through the snow. And the one guy yelled out the window. He's like, "Stop it! Stop doing that with her." It's like not enough that they've already killed her. Now they're like fucking with her corpse and they're sliding her all around.
Yeah, he was like, "You sons of bitches, leave her alone."
No adult was smarter than these children. Like
they kind of had it coming. I mean, they literally walked into some of these traps.
And why were they so like? Why would they like succumb to the children so easily? Like that lady, like the kid comes and pushes her face down in the bathtub, and she's like, "No, like."
Yeah.
I mean, is it that easy to just drown an adult by shoving their head?
Maybe that's why the kids survived. Maybe they're like super strong too.
Wasn't she drunk though? She was drinking.
I've never been so drunk that a child could shove me around.
No, but maybe if you got in a bathtub, I don't know. Yeah. I'm just trying to look at it from the movie's point of view.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense. There'd be no way that all these children would be able to overpower the adults. I mean, unless the bear trap thing would work.
I think that's the difference with who can kill a child because there's like a lot of kids. And do you know what I mean? Like it's like very Night of the Living Dead-esque versus like this is just 5 kids against some adults.
Yeah. It's a little. It kind of reminded me a lot of what's the name of that movie with the kid? I'm like, it's so late, I can't remember anything anymore. That movie with the kids and Julie Brown is in it. It's 3 kids and they like kill people with arrows, like they're hiding in the closet.
Oh, Bloody Birthday.
Yeah, Bloody Birthday. That's what it reminded me of. Like,
oh yeah, someone brought that up in the chat earlier.
I think Sean did. Yeah, I was gonna say the toy.
But this script, the script for this movie, there was a lot more like pretensions to it. And then like you could tell that they were setting it up like, who's the real children? These evil kids or these selfish, stupid adults who act like children? And
how about Doc's bar? That bar that they had the biggest bottle of beer ever. It was like a giant inflatable Budweiser, but at no point were people like. It seemed like it was there, like a giant beer. I don't know. It caught my eye. Maybe I'm a drunk, but a lot of J&B in this movie too.
Yeah, constantly.
Yeah, what is this? J&B. An Italian thriller?
Yeah, exactly. Look how fancy we are. We have J&B in this mountain lodge.
I also love that they went up to this mountain lodge, and I guess they did establish that Doc and Lovely were already up there, but still, it was this sprawling estate, and it's clean as hell, and you know, if you've ever been inside a house in an area like that that's been shut up for a while, it's gross when you open it up. Like, you know, unless it's like super well protected, there's probably rodents that got into it or something. You have to clean that shit up before you can inhabit it, but not this place.
Well, they
This
had
was
that.
palatial.
They had that weird like Hal Borsky like handyman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess he was keeping it clean.
As every day he goes and just sweeps stuff and makes sure he's like, they could come anytime to fuck here, so we got to clean.
I really hated what they did with his character, to be honest. That was my one problem with this movie, was that they sort of establish him as this innocent because she tries to get him to like have sex with her just for fun, and you know, he's totally does not get where she's coming from. But then shortly after that, he starts making a play for this like young girl. So they establish the fact that he deserves to die. I thought that was that wasn't playing fair.
Yeah, I think they kind of have to set up that these people are all horrible people so that they can die versus like the kids could be even more evil if they were innocent.
Well, if what Sam said about the first director is true, then maybe that he didn't think that character was bad for making a play for that nun.
Yeah, he was like very like
he was like, well, first he's naive and doesn't want to have sex, but now he's seen the light and now he knows what attractive
my girlfriend
finally admit to his desires. Like, and they're like, okay, you're off the fucking movie.
My teenage girlfriend. Well, that remind you of wasn't Linda Blair 14 when she was seeing Rick Springfield, who was like
this
21?
Is the 70s though, like when horrible stuff happens now, but there's a lot of that back then. Like rock stars used to apply to have guardianship over women so they could take them through state lines.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's like even if there was no sex involved, like even if it was this, you know, like how, you know, Elvis was dating Priscilla Presley like when she was a child, you know, and he was just waiting for her to grow up. It's like, what could you possibly have in common with somebody that young?
You know, I think about it a lot now. Like, I don't think I could talk to anybody under 30 at this point a lot of times.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what, 16?
Yeah.
What the fuck do you have in common with this person? I don't know. I think it's just something I can't get in my mindset at all.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I totally get like the age gap is, you know, it's in the old days. I know that it was like, you know, 18-year-old girls would marry like 30-year-old men or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
I say this as somebody whose wife is 13 years younger than me. So, you know.
Yeah, I kind of have like maybe like an 8-year radius around my age. Like 8 years older, 8 years younger. Certainly nobody in their 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me think. Yeah, my wife is 12 years. 12 years. That's my parents are about the same though, so that makes sense. Yeah. Though she'll say stuff like the other day she said to me, she said, "When did you graduate?" And I said 1990. She goes, "Oh, that's when I started first grade." And I felt real weird. I was like, "Oh, that's a lot." But
how about this movie's? Go ahead. How about this movie's obsession with slow-mo?
Oh, slow-mo and discordant versions of child theme songs.
It was constant slow-mo. Even when the kid swings down on that makeshift swing that had, I guess, blades attached to the front of it. It was like a scythe or something. There was like goofy music playing when it happened constantly.
Do you like London Bridge? Because we're going to put that into this a lot. And we're going to just slow down children killing people. Even like when he's about to hit him with the axe, it stayed in slow-mo so long and nothing had happened yet. I was like, is this like supposed to be funny? Because it's lasting forever. And
I wonder if they shot it that way. I couldn't tell. Like, I wonder if they shot it in slow-mo or if they just had the footage and they're like, what can we do to make this like more cinematic? Let's slow it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today they would have just punched into shots and done like weird zooms. You know, people do it.
They did for the shot of the house, the when the kids are coming up the hill and they see the house and they go like, "Hey, there's the house. Let's go to it." It's like a still shot of the house, and then they do like an optical like zoom in on it so that it gets like I was like, okay, yeah, I saw that effect.
I just today that like you don't have to even get the framing right when you're shooting it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you can just do whatever you want in editing.
Oh, especially like, if you're with 4K and stuff.
Yeah.
You just go all over. Yeah.
It's crazy.
This was not a particularly beautiful film, even though it did have some beautiful settings. Like I did like all the mod furniture in it, of course. And they had that one shot of her coming down the stairs. I put it in the trailer that I cut together. It's like out of a Euro horror film. Like she's coming down this like blank looking staircase, or it's almost like Messiah of Evil at the beginning.
It's funny, like there's little changes that could happen to this to make it work better. Like if they were all snowed into the house and do you know what I mean? Like everybody arrived, the snow came and the kids showed up at the door. Now they can't get out and call the police. They're trapped with the kids. Do you know what I mean? And they're stuck in this isolated location.
They couldn't make up their mind about how much snow was on the ground because sometimes it was a blizzard, sometimes it looked just a little snowy, and then there were a couple scenes where they're walking through the forest and there's no snow at all.
I went out to get a drink and I heard you yell, "Oh, the snow is gone."
From scene to scene.
Yeah. Maybe that's some of the continuity issues that they said that happened between, switching directors.
Well, I think, didn't you say that they also switched locations?
Yeah, they switched some locations within it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't notice that as much because it seems like each character has their own locations. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like that part never really bothered me.
And also, if it's a house, if the house is really as big as they say it is, then you're not going to get to know the floor plan.
Yeah. Nothing. There was never anything that got to me to the point where I was like, "Oh, that's."
Where I mean, just the hair, and also just the fact that I noticed, like, you know how at the end of Watcher in the Woods, the youngest, you're like, wait a minute, like that girl looks too old, like because she aged. It's like the little black kid, the military kid, he aged a lot between the reshoots and the thing, and so it kept going back and forth, and I was just like, yep, young one, okay, older one, young, okay, this, you could totally see it's like counting the rings on a tree, like you could tell.
Like the other movie that does that to me is the end of Ladies and Gentlemen, the Fabulous Stains, when they come back and suddenly they're pop queens on MTV and everybody looks like way older and has different hair, and you're like, I don't like this ending.
Yeah.
This ending is completely the opposite of everything in the rest of this film. But I wouldn't say I didn't like it. I liked the first movie a lot more tonight. It's funny because like I was expecting to like this more, and I end up really liking The Night God Screamed by comparison. If I had to pick one, but between the two of them.
Well, it's funny because David Assassino said that the Devil Times 5 made him not like Gen Z or something, but I thought that the kids in the Night God Screamed were a lot more Gen Z.
Yeah.
Because I could totally see if they remade that movie and they would have gaslighted her to put it on TikTok or something.
I'm glad these movies made me hate kids even more. So mission accomplished. Child hating guy.
I liked in the first movie when he goes, "Oh, do you want to babysit my kids?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm probably not going to be very good with kids. I never had any of my own." And I was like, that's always what I always say. Like when people are like, "Oh, do you want to come out with me and my nephew?" And I'm like, I don't know. I don't like kids. I've never had any, so I don't know how to act in front of them.
Yeah. I was thinking about that today. It's like, God, how would I have to edit my life with kids around? Like the movies, couldn't I watch everything? Do you know what I mean? It's just not.
I mean, the thing is, we could, if I had kids, I could just let them do whatever I did when they could just watch horror movies like I did when I was a kid. But other parents would be appalled by it.
Becca has told me numerous times that other kids weren't allowed to stay at her house because she would make them watch Halloween too.
I watched all kind of movies with our kids.
Yeah, they would have horrific nightmares, and then 2 or 3 days later, her parents would get a call like, "Did you let my daughter watch this movie? Well, we don't really pay attention to what Becca watches, and you know.
I got in really big trouble for showing this little girl who lived next door. She was my age, but we were like in 3rd or 4th grade, and we watched Sisters. And she went screaming home. She's like, Mike made me watch a movie where a lady jumped out from behind a birthday cake and stabbed someone. And the thing was, it was on TV, like it was on network TV. It wasn't like I showed her like the video or whatever, but she was still scared. And so then after that, it was like, I'd be like, do you want to watch Pippi Longstocking? She's like, I have to ask my mom first. My mom has to watch it and make sure it's okay.
Oh
my God. A lady jumped out from, that's the best summary I've heard of that movie.
A lady jumped out from behind a birthday cake and stabbed somebody.
Yeah. That's like the TV guide descriptions. A woman jumps out in front of a birthday cake and stabs someone.
Well, the funny thing was, I met up with her like for the first time in like 25 years or something, just a few years ago, because I was in San Francisco, and we met up for drinks. And I was like, do you remember when I showed you the movie Sisters and you ran home crying? And she goes, oh God, I was such a mama's girl. And she's like smoking, holding a whiskey and stuff. And I was like, okay, you grew up all right.
I watched all kind of movies with our kids when they were young. Well, they weren't teeny tiny, you know, like maybe, I think Noah was like 8 or 9, and we were watching monster movies and maybe like a couple R-rated things. One time we watched The Howling. I wanted to show him The Howling, and I didn't realize how filthy it was.
Oh, yeah.
There's filthy phone calls, and then there's that scene in the porno shop and everything. And I was like, maybe this wasn't a good idea.
Howling 3 is PG-13.
Yeah, but it's Howling 3.
You should have showed him Howling 2, Werewolf Bitch, and they'd be like, this is a powerful story about women.
That was for the teens.
Yeah.
That's a good one to watch in your teens.
Yeah. Just turn it off before the credits.
I have this experience where I've had like exes who we've watched like the sequel before we watched the original. And like I showed one of my exes Howling 2. And then we watched The Howling. And he was like, oh my God, but this one is so serious and so good. And like, I mean, like it was so weird to watch them in that order, you know, or like watching The Exorcist 2 and then you watch The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Like,
Is that
wait, that was a sequel to this?
My wife always ended up seeing the sequels first. My favorite thing she saw first is she saw Super Mario Brothers, the movie, before she ever played the game. So her early experience with Super Mario Brothers was the movie. And when she played the game, she's like, I don't like this. Like, where's Dennis Hopper? Like, she just didn't get it. So that's why she likes Sonic better.
I don't like this. Where's Dennis Hopper?
Versus every other kid that was like, what the fuck is Dennis Hopper and Mojo Nixon in this movie?
I love that that's what disappointed her.
Oh, she does not like Mario Brothers at all. She loves the movie, though.
So the kids were never punished. They get away in the end. And, well, I should say in the beginning. That's the actually beginning. The beginning of something.
The beginning.
Now, are those kids like, how old would they be now? Like if they would, so were they born in what, like 63 ish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we know because we could just look up how old Leif Garrett is.
He's 62, I think.
The younger ones obviously would have been born sooner, but it was probably around there.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm bad with that kind of stuff.
So they'd be like 60, 61, 62. Yeah. We got to do a sequel. We could do like, Leif Garrett's probably gettable. So after Stink Bug and after Tintorera 2, we got to do, and Devil Times 5, 2, and
Devil Times 10.
Devil Times 10.
The beginning.
They've had kids, and their kids have had kids at this point.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be, what if it was a psychological story where Leif Garrett's wife finds out that, hey, he really ran away from a mental hospital and he killed a whole bunch of people, but otherwise everything else in his life's been normal after that. Like, how would you like come to grips with that?
Or so she thinks.
Yeah, or so she thinks.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of weird because I think like the same thing sort of happened with like those girls who were the inspiration for the movie Heavenly Creatures. Like those girls, like they've grown up and they have lives, and like
Yeah.
the people who are in their lives will find out what they did at some point, and have to make the choice of like, should I still be friends with them?
Yeah. Or like, what if Leif Garrett, one of the characters, has tried to live a normal life, and the other kids come to visit, and I'll be like, "Hey, let's go fucking kill some people again." And he's like, "Oh, I haven't done that since the '70s."
Yeah, it'd be like kind of like the Banger Sisters.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the Big Chill. They all get together, and all of a sudden they find out.
I haven't done it since I threw that perfect spear throw through a glass window and got
and he's like, "My
right
face! You scratched my face."
Yeah, it's the girl who set Rosario on fire, and they're like, "Come on, let's go kill people," and she's like, "Oh, I don't want to do that anymore." She's like, "You set a woman on fire," and laughed about it. Like, come on, let's go. And
she was all burned up and sitting at the table at the end.
Yeah,
I can't imagine there was much left of her after all that.
No, they burned her up. Yeah, that I think about that stuff a lot, like, because, well, the majority of stuff in this house is true crime. But like, after we've forgotten about these stories, like, it's like what's his name? David Hinckley, like, is just on Twitter now, and he's got a band, and do you know what I mean? And he's been engaged once or twice, and he's just like a normal person. And he's like, he works for an antique store now, and it's like, you tried to kill Ronald Reagan for Jodie Foster, and now you just work in an antique store. It's like, that's crazy. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I know that we miss 20 or 30 years of their lives, but like, in the same way for these characters, like, if we did find them in another movie, I think it'd be astounding to find them, and they're like, well, what did happen with them?
I think it's funny too, because we always talk about, whenever we talk about the judicial system and how like our country's judicial system is bad, it's like, it's all very punitive, and like, it should be about rehabilitation, and the whole point is to rehabilitate. And then it's like, David Hinckley's out, and I'm like, what? He's out? He's in, like, I'm like, we need to rehabilitate people. Oh, but can we really?
There's that one Onion article that was really great. It's like, Jodie Foster says, I was kind of impressed with what he did for me.
Don't encourage him.
Well done.
You guys want to see some cool shit from the page this week?
Yeah.
Here's something I ran just the other day, and I could not believe it when I found it. I have to change the setting. Sorry. Here we go. Look at that. This is an ad for Fangs, starring Janet Wood, a.k.a. Holy Wednesday.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I mean, if you look real close, you can see that as part of the tagline, they have the teacher's pet in Holy Wednesday. See the teacher's pet in Holy Wednesday. But obviously, they wanted you to think the title of the movie was Teacher's Pet, which is really weird.
Yeah, it doesn't really have anything at all to do with the movie. For a movie that's completely insane too.
They could have been trying to emulate those Trip with the Teacher, teach exploitation.
But how about that shot hit, Bill?
Oh, the folks at Red Wolf Inn, I didn't even notice it.
Yeah.
The folks at the Red Wolf Inn.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that it was there. Maybe it's a good time to talk about our video again.
Yeah. Check it out on the Groovy Dim YouTube channel.
We did a feature-length commentary for the folks at Red Wolf Inn just for fun, and you can listen to it on the Groovy Doom YouTube channel. And if you're watching on YouTube, or even if you're not, please subscribe. That'd be awesome.
Oh, and Don't Look Now was playing.
Oh, Don't Look Now. It's gone. It was a dwarf at the end. Okay.
I actually really don't like Don't Look Now and think it's thoroughly overrated.
Oh man,
I know.
Sacrilege.
I know. I've never found a single person who agrees with me. Every time I say that, it's like
I bet Becca would. But I watched Rebecca, and she's like, I don't like this. This is stupid.
Okay, good. Because telling people you don't like Don't Look Now is like saying that you want to bang your sister or something. It's just like nobody understands. Nobody will empathize.
Look at this.
House of the Living Dead. I'm not really familiar with that film.
Is that Alien Zone.
No, it's not that one.
Is it
That's
South
House
African?
of the Dead. This is House of the Living Dead. It's
South African movie,
I'm not sure.
aka Doctor Maniac, aka Shadows Over Bridge Farm.
That's probably it.
That is it. I just looked it up. Yep. It is a Great Britain, South African movie that takes place on a South African plantation. Whoa. aka Curse of the Dead, aka Kill Baby Kill on video.
No.
Yes.
Oh, how could they?
How could they?
You don't
This
steal.
film contains very little gore and no zombies, which is something you would expect. It is sometimes confused with the video game series House of the Dead. It is 85 minutes long and rated R in Australia, PG in the UK.
And now we'll talk about the real reason I put this up on screen. Curse of the Devil, Paul Naschy.
Yeah.
Before they started marketing it as an Exorcist type film.
Yeah.
Which is one of the greatest deceptive ad campaigns ever. They made it look like a possession film. And no, it's about a werewolf.
Yeah. You want to date Paul Naschy from House of Psychotic Women. You want him to try to strangle you and then apologize for it.
I have to admit I wouldn't say no, but I much rather like Paul Naschy be with women because he's a ladies' man. I can tell.
I think that's why acting was important to him. It gave him opportunities.
Yeah, he wrote it into the script. He got to go to bed with a beautiful woman.
Yep. Whoa, The Attic.
What do you guys think of this movie? I don't think I've ever seen it.
I've never seen it. That monkey itself is enough to put me off it, though.
Ryan Clark always tries to get me to watch this movie. He really likes this Ryan Clark too.
Yeah.
Not the other Ryan Clark.
Ryan Clark too.
We know two Ryan Clark.
So Bill and I always have to set up for ourselves which Ryan Clark we're talking about.
All right.
Yes. The Capri. Not a strip club, a theater. Oh.
I love this movie.
I absolutely adore this movie, yeah.
It is pretty fabulous. And
Let's
Horror House.
I'm going to watch it again.
Horror House in gory color.
Oh.
I don't like Horror House. That's one that I don't like.
Mm-mm.
That's one with Frankie Avalon. I know you like it.
It's all right. Yeah, I like anything Frankie Avalon did. So, and I like whenever former gigantic pop stars have to slum it.
Is that Michael Armstrong movie?
It was an AIP film that played with all the AIP movies.
Because I thought that Frankie Avalon was in a horror movie that was directed by the guy who made Mark of the Devil.
Let me look it up here. Horror House, that's 1970. A.K.A. Savage Intruder.
I love the implied necrophilia in the tagline of this film.
Oh, it is. It is the same one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, this was directed by Donald Wolfe. He's the one I'm looking. This is a different Hollywood Horror House is the one I'm looking at. Sorry, guys.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Horror House with Frankie Avalon. It was originally called The Haunted House of Horror.
Yeah.
And it stars Frankie Avalon and Jill Haworth from the horror of Snape Island.
Okay.
I love Joseph Brenner. He was so awesome. He would take these Italian movies with these really florid titles and just give them one word: eyeball, autopsy, torso.
I love that time he brought us Dr. Zhivago.
That was Carlo Ponti.
I think we lost Sam. I wondered why he went silent about this.
I know, man. It was like he's the gas.
What's Screwballs?
It's like a Porky's kind of thing. I think it has to do with like kids. It's like a sexy comedy set at like a pinball arcade or something.
I get confused with all those sex comedies.
Waiting to go on.
Where torso ends, autopsy begins.
Yes.
Eyeball.
You're back,
Torso.
Sam.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Screwballs is a Canadian sex comedy.
Is it set in a pinball arcade?
No, it's just like Meatballs. It's set at a camp.
Okay.
Yeah. Torso has my favorite real title. The Body Betrayed Signs of Carnal Violence.
And then like Eyeball's real title is The Killer Cat in a Glass Maze or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Carlo. But yeah, I heard Carlo Ponte and I got so excited I logged myself out. So yeah.
Yeah, I can hear the title. I can hear the trailer now. It's like from Carlo Ponte, the man who brought you Dr. Zhivago.
Bill and I talk about that all the time, by the way. It makes me so happy to think about people like, oh, Carlo Ponte brought us a wonderful romance story. Let's go see this. And it's a movie about a bunch of girls getting sawed up while another girl hides upstairs with a broken leg.
Right. After they all take pain pills and drink champagne and then get lazy with each other.
Yeah. Whoa.
Vampire Playgirls.
Yeah, it's a Town and Country.
MPM. Do you remember which movie this is?
Graveyard Tramps?
No.
Vampire Hookers?
No.
It's not The Invasion of the Bee Girls.
It's one of the most frequently screened movies of the 1970s. It was constantly on a double bill with In the Devil's Garden.
Oh, the
Exorcism. What had happened to you?
The Playgirls and the Vampire?
No. It's The Devil's Nightmare.
Oh. There was The Devil's Nightmare. There was Assault. And then what was the third movie because they do a triple feature? It was like the devil triple feature was making their rounds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was it like the third one was like Death by Invitation, I think maybe, or something, or something having something witchy.
It was usually only the two, so the third movie probably varied a lot. That was just like an add-on for drive-ins. So it could have had something to do with like whatever the local drive-in had laying around.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I'm not sure though. I mean, it was literally running every year since it debuted in 73, I think was the earliest it played the States. But here it is. This was 1980, I think.
Whoa.
They were still trotting it out, and that's one of those lovely ladies is Apollonia Quintero.
That is right, because you showed another ad that used her body in a similar fashion. Speaking of that, Bill, I found something I never knew about that. The artwork for Sergio Martino's Hands of Steel got reused maybe 100 times and redrawn and stuff. There's a ninja movie, Ninja the Devil, that used the exact art from Hands of Steel and just drew a ninja over top of the cyborg. It made me so fucking happy. I literally ran upstairs and told Becca, and she said, I don't give a shit. It went back to do what she was doing.
MPM did this kind of stuff all the time. They were, like Mike mentioned, graveyard tramps.
Yeah.
It was always just models in the ad that had nothing to do with the movie.
As a guy, I would say I'd go see this movie. I'm like, I'm okay, yeah, sure.
MPM was kind of ruthless with their advertising. Weren't they run by the mob or something?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Not that I would say that live.
Italian American, I'm here to tell you that organized crime and the mafia does not exist.
Right.
They're figments of people's imaginations, and best to keep it that way.
Didn't like Umberto Lenzi make a police thriller about MPM?
He should have.
I would love to watch both these movies together.
Weren't we just talking about this?
We were. I like that it's going all the way part 2. Like we already went all the way, but
it's the never ending story part 2 or something.
Going even further.
Yeah. going all the way part 2 is anal. I mean, let's just get to it.
We
But,
went
yeah.
all the way and discovered that there was still more ground to cover.
Yeah, things have gotten totally out of hand. Also, the rock and shock and new wave of horror, 100%. Yes, agreed. It's not over yet. I like the other ones. Like 2 is like, hey, things are totally out of hand now. Things are crazy. The other one's like, hey, we're not done. Howling. Did you get everything out of the Howling that you wanted? It's one of the best horror movies ever made. This one's no 10% as good as it, but would you like to see it? 10% of awesome is still pretty good though. So yeah.
It is definitely one of the most new wave films ever. Christopher Lee wears wraparound sunglasses in it, so you know it's new wave.
When I hated The Howling 2 when I first saw it. I was so betrayed. Yeah,
me too. I was totally disappointed. I wanted an actual sequel to The Howling, and I was like, oh wow, here's a sequel. No, not at all. But it was so new wave. There's Smithereens, Suburbia, and this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's the most new wave movie ever made.
Moving on.
Oh, Silent
There's one we just saw at the drive-in, and wasn't it fantastic? I really loved this movie.
Did they applaud when what's her name is revealed? That
Vivica
actress,
Limford.
Vivica Limford. She comes down the stairs. You whores! Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going back upstairs.
I sure applauded. I didn't even really. I mean, I saw her name in the credits and got excited, but before that, I didn't know she was in that movie at all.
Oh, Jennifer.
Jennifer, Carrie's cousin, who is into snakes, and Wesley Yore.
Wow. We have not played Silent Madness or Jennifer on the show, so Eldon. So we saw it at the drive-in though. So,
Mike, isn't this one of your faves?
No, I've never seen Jennifer.
You really would like it. You must see Jennifer.
Yeah.
I've always heard of it. I don't know why. I mean, I never have been like. I love Carrie, but I've never been like a telekinesis freak who had to see like every Carrie ripoff or anything.
Oh, but it's all about snakes, Mike Justice.
Mm-hmm.
She's into snakes.
Lisa Pelican. Was she ever in anything else?
Yeah, she was in a TV show, like an 80s situation comedy. I can't remember the name. I keep thinking of Donna Pescal now. It's not.
Yeah.
Lisa Pelican.
Lisa Pelican was in Angie.
Mm-hmm.
She was not. Okay, that's it for my ads from the page. Sorry.
Well, I'll show you what came in the mail this week. Oh, I already showed one of these. But this is the Boris Karloff collection of Mr. Wong. We talked about it earlier. About, in the 30s, a tall British man could play an Asian gentleman. No one was upset.
Right.
Anyway, there's the collection. This got sent to me, and I said, okay. But yeah, Rain Man 4K. Thanks, MVD. Doesn't really fit in the movies much. I'll have copies of this next week to give away. But I'm going to do a giveaway next week, and we have a few more folks. But the Tank, which I heard is really good. I got copies of that. It's come back to the show next week. We'll have giveaways for that. We have 2 giveaways. We got this new Ultraman set, which is a really cool packaging. I really dig it.
Ooh.
Isn't that neat?
It is.
Yeah, and that's a Battle Kaiju series. And then we got The Event, which was a series I didn't watch, but I've heard really good stuff about. That's from Mill Creek. And then a movie called Southern Gospel, which is also from Mill Creek. So that's what came in the mail this week. Super excited about watching this Mr. Wong collection. Those are from Kino Lorber, who've been putting out a lot of stuff. So I'm excited to see that. And Chris brought up Burt Convey's in Jennifer. I'll watch almost anything with Burt Convey in it. I won't lie. I'm always getting excited. Like, Burt Convey's in this? Yeah. The host.
He hosts Card Sharks?
Yeah, and win, lose, or draw. Yeah. Yeah. I like anybody that was mildly associated with Burt Reynolds. So yeah, I'm super into it.
What was I going to say about this? I'm thinking. I know Boss Hog isn't from anything with Burt Reynolds, but I also noticed the guy Boss Hog from Devil Times 5. He also was the school principal in Freaky Friday.
Yeah, Sorrel Brook. That's a Shakespearean trained actor who could speak multiple languages too.
Right, and he's just like, get those boys.
Yeah, and he ended up on the Dukes of Hazzard with Quentin Tarantino's acting teacher. What's his name? The Roscoe. That was the guy who taught Quentin Tarantino how to be an actor.
Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Yeah, I watched way too much Dukes of Hazzard as a kid. I was the right demo for it. I was the right age at the right time. I even watched the spin-off Enos and the cartoon.
I hated the Dukes of Hazzard. They were opposite Wonder Woman, and sometimes I was in a household where they wanted to watch the Dukes of Hazzard, and I hated it. Speaking of Wonder Woman, we didn't even talk about how Leif Garrett was on Wonder Woman.
Oh, it was?
Oh, yes. He had a very important Wonder Woman episode. He played a pop star, go figure, and he also had a secret twin who was not his twin brother. I don't think they were related, but they just happened to be mirror image of each other. And of course they kidnapped the real Leif Garrett and replaced him with this doppelganger, except he couldn't sing. Maybe it was his twin brother. Anyway, Wonder Woman saves the day.
It's like the plan in the Evel Knievel movie, where they're going to take Evel Knievel and kill him and stuff him full of cocaine and have Marja Gortner be his double. And why are they going to do this? Because the mob is upset. The mob, which by the way, again, doesn't exist. The mob has decided that Evel Knievel has spoken out about drugs so many times that he must be made an example of. I can tell you, if you haven't watched the Evel Knievel movie that he helped write, you really should. It's really good. Right before it came out, he beat somebody with his cane on the lot of where his movie office lot was, and that's what ruined his career.
Isn't there a scene with him attempting to sort of like do a stunt? Isn't a scene with him in one of those like Mondo movies or something? Mm-hmm. Isn't there like a Faces of Death or something with him?
Yeah. When I was a kid, I remember that my family would all come over to the house, like the extended family, and I remember the Snake River Canyon one was a big deal. And as a kid, I was constantly worried because I had all the toys and everything, and I was like, man, he's going to get killed. Like, please stop jumping your bike, Evil. But
yeah, I think it was like Faces of Death 2 or something he was in.
Yeah.
Maybe he was in it with Jeannie Crane.
Yeah, I think her name is just Jean.
Oh, Jean. Then where there's two N's, that's usually a genie.
Yeah.
Is that true? Okay.
I thought.
No, I think so, because there was that old lady in my movie, the intersection with the bald bat patch on her head. Like she called herself Jeannie, but it was spelled Geanne.
Isn't that how Jeannie Crane spells her name?
Yeah. So I guess you're right. I was just thought like Jeannie was with an IE.
Jeannie. Meow.
Jeannie Crane. Have you guys seen Skyjacked with Jeannie Crane and who's it? Charlton Heston?
I have not. Is that her last movie that she did?
Yeah.
No, I've not seen Skyjacked.
She's barely in it though. She kind of has the role that like Faith Domergue has in Perversion Story. She just shows up to be like brunette and like haughty and then just leaves. So.
Oh man. Next week's movie, by the way, guys, if you didn't know, is Too Beautiful to Die, an Italian fashion models in peril movie that pretty much is blood and black lace, but made within the music video era by an advertising director who also went on to later direct The Lost Boys, The Thirst, one of the direct-to-video Lost Boys sequels.
Oh my God.
It's actually the better of the two of them.
Is it
But,
like weren't they like filmed in Romania or something?
oh, of course. Now, aren't they all? Like that's
Yeah.
how you do that. But it's pretty wild. It's got some. It is literally one long music video. There's not a kill for the first 40 minutes, but it's a lot of music videos. So like normally in a genre where there'd be a murder, insert a music video into this one. But I'm excited. I think Bill, I think you're really gonna like it. It's got some wild shit in it.
I've already watched a large portion of it, so I
Did you
just
love
have
it?
to finish watching the whole thing. Of course I did.
Yeah. The
Well,
costumes in the Frankie Goes to Hollywood sequence are absolutely insane. And on the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray, the director, he hand drew all the costumes for it. So he designed all the costumes in the set. For it. And the entire set is built. There's they built it all from scratch. Like there's no like existing places in it. And it starts with the Salvador Dali couch, the Lips couch, which is based on Mae West's Lips. I know way too much about this movie because I just did a podcast on it, but super excited.
Where can one find this podcast, Sam?
It is Jalo of the Month Club, which is available where you find podcasts. That's what they always say on podcasts. Look for us where you find podcasts. I know she's on Spotify, which is where I listen to it. And you can find it. Look on my page, and I've shared it out as well.
What's the name of the host of this show?
Diane is her name. I can't remember what right now. I'm exhausted. But yeah, but she really hypes up. If you follow, she's on Instagram with Jalo the Month Club and Twitter, and she puts ads out for like every couple hours. Like she's a really big promoter of the show, and she has a couple other. She has a Pride episode up right now for the movie Knife Plus Heart, the French, I guess, kind of sort of retro genre that came out a couple years ago, which is really good too. It has Vanessa Paradis in it, Johnny Depp's ex.
Right.
Is an adult film director who all of
Pop
her
star.
Yeah, all of her male talent keeps getting killed in horrific ways. It's pretty good. And Nora said she watched Queen Kong last night. Can't imagine why it didn't get a theatrical release. As far as I know, it did. Yeah. I've watched every King Kong ripoff there is, so really no shame.
Hey, by the way, I just recorded another episode of Newcastle After Dark last night.
Awesome.
Because the last one that we did was for the movie Ruby, and it got zapped from their channel, and it was a tragedy. So they had me back to shoot another episode. I was really excited about it. I can't say what the movie is. I don't think, but it is. What?
Didn't you say it was the folks at Red Wolf Inn?
No. No, it's not the folks at Red Wolf Inn. But I will say that, well, one of the stars of this film may have been throttled by Santa Claus in a movie. And that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, the one where she gets pregnant with the midget's baby, and
it might have been her. I'm just
Eldon
saying.
said, who's releasing Trick or Treat? Synapse is releasing Trick or Treat later this year. So, pretty exciting. Next week on my site, a couple hours. Today, in a few hours on my site, I'm featuring directors of stuff, of weird stuff I've really liked. One of their movies, and I said, I'm going to watch the rest of them. So, a lot of really cool people that I'm trying to get their movies out and about and get people to think about them. One of those directors, I'm trying to figure out what I say this because I'm a little drunk. One of those directors may have done one of the movies that Bill and I did a commentary on there. There's enough directors that you'd really have to guess and see which one it is. But I'm excited. After a week of ninja movies, time for some other ones. And then next week is all Brian De Palma movies. So pretty exciting. A whole week of De Palma.
Mike Justice, thanks so much for doing the show tonight.
You're welcome.
Pleasure.
Thank you. I really enjoyed the movies. I enjoyed the first one a lot.
I had a feeling you were going to like that. I was glad I had the right feeling. All right. So we hope we'll see all of you next week. It's the late movie, 11 p.m. Saturday night. Too Beautiful to Die. And thanks for hanging out with us tonight and watching fantastic films. We'll see you next week.
Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian.